All right, let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mobile App Academy. This is our live building series where we show you how to build and configure mobile apps on the Now platform. My name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow, and I'll be your host for today's session. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to the session. Our product experts are here to provide guidance, best practices, and answer any questions that do come up along the way. And we do host these App Academies every 2 weeks at 10 a.m. Pacific, and our recordings will be posted onto YouTube on the ServiceNow community channel. And in case you aren't familiar, just want to point out a few resources that we do have available. If you're new to mobile, we recommend that you check out some of our self-enablement resources that you can find on our community site, such as our Essentials training blog and our mobile FAQs. We also have a plethora of other resources, such as our labs and mobile trainings on Now Learning, and then as well as our playlist to all the previous App Academies, which you can find sessions like Mobile Agent Quick Start Guides, Getting Started with Now Mobile, and over 30 other academies. But with all of that said, let's get started with today's topic, in which we're going to further explore getting started with Mobile App Builder. In the last two sessions, we explored how you can find your data and configure a list from scratch, in which you can pull in fields that you want. And we even showed you how you can create new card templates from scratch. But in today's session, we're going to start diving into actions and functions. More specifically, we're going to start off with smart buttons. These are quick and easy ways in which you can interact with the native device functionality, such as sending it like an email message, or maybe making a phone call or sending a text. But just to quickly review our schedule for today, we're going to start it off with a quick overview on what Mobile App Builder is, or smart buttons, I'm sorry. And then we'll jump into the exercise, in which we'll wrap up some Q&A if there's any questions. But just to provide some context before we jump into our exercises, let's start off with a quick overview on smart buttons. If you aren't already aware, smart buttons are actions that allow your users to interact with your native device capabilities. And there's 4 types. First, you have address, which allows you to navigate to the location of a task, accessing your device's native map app, whether that be Apple Maps or Google Maps or whatever, or Waze. You can also send an email or make a phone call or send a text message. All that is possible with the tap of a button from the ServiceNow mobile app. And then we also support URLs, in which that will allow you to navigate to any web page, like your company's website, an employee's LinkedIn, or maybe you want to open up a specific page inside of Service Portal or Employee Service Portal. All of that is possible using smart buttons. Okay. Let's see. I'm seeing a question. What about interacting with camera for scanning? Oh, it looks like Eliza's already answering that question. So moving forward, for today's use case, we are going to build 2 smart buttons, in which we'll add it to our out-of-the-box field service mobile apps. Since the field service mobile app already allows me to navigate to the location of my task, and you can also see it on a map view, I'm going to add a couple capabilities in which you'll be able to natively send an email or make a phone call to people who have opened up the task, right? So who is the person or customer that opened up the task for that field service agent to work on it. And we're going to add a couple fields to the My Task list screen, and then we'll make those fields actionable using smart buttons. So let's get started here. I'm going to reshare my screen here. Okay, so at this point, I think you should be able to see my instance and my mobile app. The first thing I'm going to do is open up Mobile App Builder. And then we are going to jump into the field service mobile scope, right? So if you take a look at my left screen here, this is the out-of-the-box field service mobile app. And currently, you can see some fields for this task. This is a network connectivity issue, in which you can see additional details here. Currently, you can navigate using this location smart button, right? And this will take me to that location in San Francisco. But what if, as an agent, I want to be able to make a phone call to ask that user who opened up this task more questions, or maybe I want to be able to send them an email. How would I go about doing that? I think I should, first is I need to add 2 fields to the screen, one for open by, and then actually 3 fields, open by email as well as open by caller. So we will jump into the field service mobile scope. And then we're going to find this screen here on my mobile agent app. I believe this screen is called My Task. And so I'll simply look up My Task and open up that screen. And then if you take a look at this list screen, where I want to put the smart button, it's going to be on the details segment of this list screen, right? So this details segment lives in my record screen. And so this is where I would expect to see where I can add additional fields as well as associate my smart button to it. So let's go ahead and scroll down on my left-hand navigation and find record screen, which is right here. And then it's going to want me to jump into the correct scope. And so we'll go ahead and just open up the record. And then once I'm in the record screen, let's scroll down here and jump into the details screen. And what you can see, the embedded screen here is details. So let's open this up. And then we'll navigate into the embedded screen. And then here's all my screen fields here. Okay. So let's add 3 fields to screen fields. First, we'll open up, we'll just create 2 actually. I don't even need to show the open by person. We'll just have the open by dot walk to email. And then save. And then we'll create a second screen field for caller. We will dot walk from open by to business phone. Okay, and then we'll save. Okay, so at this point, if I refresh my mobile app, I should be able to see those 2 new fields on my task. Okay, so you can see that there's an email associated to this open by caller as well as your business phone. So at this, I can't really tap on this quite yet, right? So you can see that I can copy and paste, but this isn't a very efficient way to send an email or make a phone call. I want to make it so that, I can just go in here, tap on it once, and it'll take me directly to my mail app, or it'll take me to my phone app. So let's first create a smart button for a business phone. I'm going to first, I need to figure out, where do I associate my smart button? My smart button needs to go into the details screen, and that's where I'll create my smart button. Okay, so let's go back to my record screen. We'll scroll down here, and there's 4 segments, right? There's one for details, activity. Let's open up details. Open up the embedded screen. And then if I scroll down here, this is where you'll find field function instances. This is where smart buttons, this is where I will associate my smart buttons to make these specific fields actionable. Okay, so let's create a new function instance. And we will call this, let's do business phone smart button. I can give it a description if I want. The display label, let's call this business phone. This display label will actually only matter if you associate it on like a top menu, right? So since I'm making it tappable, this display label won't actually show up. And then it's going to ask, where do you want this function to trigger from, right? It doesn't really know what field you want it trigger from this detail screen. And so I have to define it as business phone, in which you can access by dot walking from the open by field. And then I'm going to create a brand new function. in which we'll call this function business phone smart button. Now the type, there's 4 types of smart buttons, right? You have URL, phone, address, and email. This one specifically, I want phone. The context is going to be record because this is a field within work order task, and I want it to open within this list screen here. The data is going to pull from the work order task table. And then I want it to take the source value from the field. And what that means is if there's a value being populated, I want to make that number actionable, right? Rather than hard coding a phone number. So I'll turn this on and it's going to ask, where is it pulling the value from? I'll have to map it back to my open by business phone again. And then it's going to ask, what the phone type is, whether it's a landline or cellular. If it's cellular, then you have the capabilities to send text, right? Since this is a business phone, I can set it to landline and then click save. And I can set some conditions if I want, but I won't do that here, as well as apply roles. But I think at this point, if I refresh my mobile device, the action should work. So if I open up my task, you can see that there's now a new icon hovering to the right, a business phone. If I tap on that, I can now make a phone call, and it'll make that phone call natively for my device, right? I'm not going to actually call that phone number because I think this is actually a real number. But that's smart buttons for phones. Okay. Let's take a quick break and answer any questions that came up. Looks like Huberto mentioned, it looks like this is the exact topic I want to learn more about. That's great. It's awesome. Adam's asking, is the smart button applicable for updating a reference type variable in an SE task record this way? The use case is filling in a tagged asset field in order to use Flow Designer to then update the assigned to values. Adam, I think what you're looking more for is update types of write-back actions. And we'll actually cover that specifically input form screens. We'll use input form screens to create write-back actions in the next 2 academies. So not quite smart buttons. We actually have other academies on input form screens on our mobile app academy playlist. I would recommend checking that out. We cover reference type variables. We also cover autofilling variables. So those are definitely 2 topics I would recommend checking out. Okay. So let's, I'm going to show you 2 more configurations. Let's enable a smart button for my email, and then we'll do one for URL as well. So creating the email one is going to be very similar. I go back into my record screen. Record screen, to the very top. And then again, this is going to live on the details screen. So let's navigate to details. Whoops. Details. And then open up the embedded screen. And then we're going to create a new field function instance. And we'll call this one email smart button. Okay. The display label, email smart button. Again, the display doesn't matter because it's going to be directly in the field itself. And then it's going to ask where this is triggering from. And so we'll dot walk from open by to email. And then we'll create that new smart button here. Okay. And then we'll change the type from action item to email. Okay. This is going to pull from the work order test table. And I also want it to take the source field value. Okay. That way I'm not just sending hard coded emails. It's going to pull from the email field. And then I can actually create templated emails. And so if this agent is sending many emails in a day and they're all very similar, you can actually fill in like the mail subject and mail context to save some time. So, this could be ServiceNow related, ServiceNow network issue, mail content. We can start it by saying hello, comma. Okay. And so when I trigger this email, it will already pre-populate that email with these two fields. So let's go and save this. And then I think this should work. So if I refresh my mobile app, and I think I'm currently logged in to a personal email, and so it won't open up. I'll show that in just a second. Okay, so if I tap on this email field now, it'll pull the subject and the body that I typed in. Okay. And I can probably just send this email since this is both mine. We'll send that and it works. Okay. So those were two smart buttons, one for phone, one for email. I don't want to do all of them because all the configurations are very similar. And I would recommend checking out product docs if you need any additional details there. One that might be slightly different is the URL one. So I'll configure that one and then we'll wrap up with some Q&A. Very short session for today. Let's go back to our record screen. And I'll actually skip a step and just go directly into my details. I think details is right here. Okay. So let's say that I think out of the box field service already has open knowledge out of the box. And so I see it here, view knowledge. But if you wanted to create like a similar experience, let me show you in other out of the box apps or maybe in your own workflows. I'll show you how you can create a very quick URL smart button. We will create a new, I want to create a smart button on this top menu here. And so it's no longer going to be tappable on my fields. Rather, it's going to be located in the top right. Okay. So I actually want to go back to my record screen at the very top. And my top menu function instances live here. So we'll create one here. And we will call this, let's have it open up service portal. Smart button. The display here actually matters. And so we'll give this open knowledge or open KB. And then we'll create that new smart button. Open KB smart button. And the type will be URL, which pulls from the work order task table. Okay, so you can't, so if you are using a field that has URLs, you can use the take source field value, but this doesn't apply to this use case. I just want it to open up KBs for my field service agent. And so on my instance, if I open up service portal, I can just take this relative URL and open that up. Or if I want it specifically to open up knowledge, I have that capability as well. Okay, so let's paste this in the link URL and then call this open KB and click save. I think that should do it. So let's refresh my mobile app. And then you can open up KB. Okay. And there are ways to make this more dynamic too. So to give an example, if you wanted the URL smart button to automatically pull in this short description and then have it open up a KB based on this short description, that's totally possible. And we have that documented in our product docs. So we recommend checking that out if that's a use case that applies to you. But I think field service already has this built out of the box. So just know that it's possible. Let's see. Are there any questions we want to highlight from the chat? Let's see. If I'm using a URL type smart button, what are my options to tap on the record screen? The alternative that I don't like as much is placing the function action in the top level menu. That's a very good question, actually. You can put it in the top menu. If you're asking where can I place my smart buttons inside of a record screen, I think there's 3 main locations here. You can put it in the top menu, but I've heard many customers have mentioned that this top menu is kind of hard to discover, and so you also have the ability to put it in the footer, right? So where this close complete is, you can also associate it here. Okay. Why does the out of the box view knowledge function open up the legacy knowledge portal? I think the field service team they're planning on making an update to that. So I think as you upgrade into Utah and beyond, they should be making those updates, and so that it takes advantage of the latest KBs, or maybe you're using Employee Center. That's all on the roadmap for field service. But I think they use Service Portal as a standard because I think most customers had the legacy knowledge portal, and so it's going to take some time for everyone to migrate over to the new stuff. Okay. Can you include any work order info under content? Under content. Not quite sure what you mean by that. So I'm going to unmute you, and then feel free to ask your question for us.
That was with the email smart button when you were pre-populating the email template.
Oh, can you include work order info under content? Oh, no. So I think that would require an enhancement. You can only pre-populate the subject and body of your email templates. I don't think you can pull in any fields and have it automatically populate that I'm aware of. But that could be a good use case. So definitely let us know in our idea portal. You can open that up as an enhancement. Does this apply to the agent app too? Yes, I'm currently using the ServiceNow agent app. And so, yes, what I showed you, smart buttons, they're applicable to both clients. I don't think it's specific to one or the other. We use the Intune managed version of our mobile apps. Is it possible to redirect email and URL functions to the managed mail and browser app? That's a great question. John, I'd recommend opening that question up on the community. I don't have an answer for you at the moment, but that's something that we can look into. Okay. Eliza, are there any other questions that?
Not that I saw.
Okay. Okay, then we can probably wrap up. Let me share one last screen. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you found this session helpful, please let us know in our post-session survey. There's also going to be a couple other questions that ask you what topics you want us to explore in the future. And we love getting this kind of feedback from all of you. So please let us know in that post-session survey. If you're interested in any of our past mobile app academies, we do record these and upload them to YouTube, in which you can also find on our community site. So make sure to subscribe to that forum, register to our App Academy series. That way you can get notifications on the latest updates and topics. But with all of that being said, thank you all for joining us today. And we hope to see you again in 2 weeks at our next academy, in which we will dive deeper into action functions using input form screens. Thank you, everyone.